I've got a problem. Last time on Perfect World post-production, we built this massive field, filled it with solar panels, and planted lots and lots of crops, and we even designed a cool little robot that's going to harvest them. But in order to make sure that harvesting doesn't go wrong and doesn't stop when we load and unload chunks, we end up with robots stuck all over the fields, I want to make sure that I'm using powered rails and those ones with the little arrows on it all the time. The problem with that is it's going to take thousands of gold to make that happen, and I've only got about 100 or so. So we've got a couple of options. We could go to the desert, go digging and dig up loads of gold. We could go to the nether and go dig up loads of gold there. Or we can make some kind of a gold farm. And that's where the problem lies. I think I do want to do a gold farm, but I don't want to be building the gold farm over here in this area. The whole reason we still have a very temporary iron farm over there is that I want to put iron, gold, and all things like that in a whole new area altogether. But I'm not ready to move to that new area yet because I've told myself I won't move there until I build a monorail to that place. And I don't even know where that place is yet. But I'm not going to be able to start up a new town until I build a station, get a monorail in, and so on. But I still need a lot of gold, and I want a gold farm. I could probably do with a quartz farm as well with the amount I'm using for solar panels. So I think what we're going to do is I might just put down a big stone platform, build the gold farm on top of it, and maybe a quartz farm as well, because we can get quartz and a little bit of gold, I believe, from soul sand, although that's not the best way to get gold. But then we can just glue the whole thing together, and when we do move to a new zone, we can just take it with us, and in the meantime, it can just produce us lots of gold. But it is going to be a bit of an eyesore, and I don't really want to put it somewhere where it's going to be in the way. So what I might actually do is just go over there to that tiny little bit of land right there, those sort of 6 or 7 blocks of sand, build a nice platform off that, and just build a gold farm that works. And we won't worry about how it looks. It's been a while since we've done something like that. So first up, let's just grab a whole load of blocks and build that platform. We now have a reasonable sized platform that should be big enough to build a gold and potentially quartz farm on. But now I need to actually work out what I need to do to make those farms. So to get gold nuggets, we can crush down ochrum or gold ore stuff. Yep, that's obvious. Okay, that's not helpful at all. We can bulk blast, also not helpful. So washing is going to be the way to do it. So we can wash red sand for a 12% chance to get 3. And some dead bushes. We can wash soul sand for a 2% chance to get 1. So great for quartz, terrible for gold. And of course we can wash crushed raw gold. So basically we need to be making red sand. To make red sand we need to crush granite. To make granite we need to mix quartz and diorite. Yep, that looks like the only way. Quartz we know we can get from washing soul sand. Diorite we get from quartz and cobblestone. So basically we need quartz. We need lots and lots and lots of quartz. And then from that we can actually start making all the other things. So I think we're going to need a factory diagram for this one. Or actually we could also get red sand from terracotta. That might make more sense. To make terracotta we of course need clay, and to get clay we just need to get clay balls, which we get of course from crushing down sand or from washing sand. So maybe that's the route we should take. Still gonna need a factory diagram though. Let's grab some terracotta, some clay. Now let's make a quick little wall to do our diagram on, but it should be fairly straightforward, I think. So we'll start with cobble. So we're gonna crush cobble into gravel. We'll crush the gravel into sand, and that's also gonna give us a bit of flint. We'll wash the sand into clay, and I think we'll actually get a bit of clay from that too. We'll turn the clay into clay blocks. Clay blocks into terracotta, terracotta into red sand, and then red sand into gold. Then on this side, we're going to get gravel to make sand, to make soul sand, which will then give us quartz and a tiny bit of gold. So this is basically what we're making. So we're going to need crushing wheels here and here. Then we need to wash the sand. Then we need to compact the clay. Then we need to cook the clay into terracotta. Then we need to crush that into red sand. Then we need to wash that into gold. So basically lots of crushers, cookers, and washers. And it's pretty much the same down here as well. It's just crush there, haunt there, and then wash. So I guess I'm going to need a whole lot of bolts and crushing wheels and belts and shafts and other create bits and bobs. Let's see what we can scavenge up. So I've gathered a whole bunch of create stuff that should enable us to actually make these farms, but it does occur to me I'm probably going to want space underground to be able to run things that I want hidden. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is actually raise this platform up to here, and quickly just build another floor, and then we've got plenty of space underneath to run storage drawers and power and all that sort of stuff. There we go, that's better. Now we can build the farm up here and put all the logistical stuff down here. And speaking of logistics, we need to get power over here, and I think for that we're just going to put some janky chain drives in. So let's attach one there, jam this one up under here, and then we'll just connect it jankily to that. So I'm fully aware it's going through blocks and doesn't look right, but because that gold farm over there is not going to be permanent, that's not really a problem. For now, we just needed power. Power we have. So let's just extend that to here. And this is the spot we'll start our farm. And like pretty much every farm in Create, we're going to start with a cobble generator. And we're going to do a nice big cobble generator, I think. So we'll start with a max size vault. We're going to put a bunch of brass funnels on the top here to collect the cobble. Because I believe if you do it with funnels instead of chutes, you can actually collect more cobble by putting on multiple drills. Not sure if that's true or not, but we're going to do it anyway, just in case. I know we've tried it before with chutes on a previous series and it didn't work, but apparently funnels can accept stuff quicker or something. I don't know. Either way, we'll try it and find out soon. So we are going to put 2 rows of drills on, block up the sides here because we're going to need to hold lava on that central bit. Then we'll use a bunch of encased chain drives here and just do the same on every side. But if you've been around the channel for a while, you've probably seen me build this a million times by now anyway. So let's get rid of those 3 bits there. Then we need shafts there, gearbox, shafts, and then that will power the drills. Wonderful. Let's turn that off for now, though, just while we set this up properly, because what we need to do is actually grab something I've forgotten, which is a little bit of cobble. And to make sure this works as intended, what we actually need to do is put cobble in the spots where cobble will generate. Then thinking about it, we're going to need to quickly just block off the bottom bit here of these drills and these side bits here. Then we need to waterlog each of these drills, and you have to do all of this before you turn the machine on, otherwise it won't work properly and you'll just end up with obsidian. We're going to get these waterlogged on both sides. So that's everything waterlogged, both sides done. Then we need to put lava in between all of these bits. Now when we turn it on, we should get cobble nice and fast. Yep, look at that. We've got 309 already in just a few seconds. Wow, that's actually going up incredibly fast. Wonderful stuff. Feels like those top ones might actually be making a difference now that we're using funnels. But anyway, that's step 1 complete. Next up, we need to grind all that down into gravel. Then, of course, we need to turn it all into sand, and that happens on both of these tracks. And it's at that point that we need to split some off to make quartz, and the rest we'll send off to make gold. So I guess we just need lots of crushing wheels now. So now we've got the cobble coming in, I want to be able to move this around nice and easily. So what we're actually going to do is feed this on a belt. In fact, we might as well do it over at this side here. And we're going to feed that into a storage drawer system. I think I brought everything I needed with me. Drawer controller IO, that's what we need there. We're going to have an input and an output there. Then we're going to stick a gearbox in there, a couple of shafts, and another gearbox, and perfect. Right, we just need a system for this to actually go into now. So if we go under here, this is why we needed space underneath. I'm going to bring this pretty much to the middle of the platform here, and then put in a drawer controller. And if we put a drawer there, that should take a second, connect, and then start filling up with cobble. Excellent. I just need to give it a couple of upgrades because we want lots of cobble. And I should probably grab the drawer keys as well, just so we can see what's actually going on. So we'll lock it and we'll do quantify. Look at that, thousands of cobble already, wonderful. But now what that means is I don't need to do one giant connected machine. I can actually just come over here now, for example, put in some crushing wheels and just call stuff directly from the storage. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So how many crushing wheels do we want to turn all of this into gravel? I mean, it's coming in incredibly quickly, so maybe let's start with 4. In fact, I think if we compact this, we could probably get away with doing 6. So if we punch a hole there, there, and there. Put spruce trim there. We'll connect that up to the system shortly. Put drawer controllers here. And do the same thing on this side. I have a feeling we're going to need more drawer controllers for this build. I only brought 10 or so with me. We're almost out already. Then we'll do more here. Once again, more funnels. Then we're going to need vertical gearboxes. Oh, actually, I've done these a bit too close together. I'm not going to be able to make this work, am I? So let's quickly just move all of this over. So let's think this through a bit more. If we were to put one here, then the next one is going to have to go there. Because that way these aren't going to connect and they're not going to interfere with each other. And then we can put a third row there. Right, that should work. And then if we connect these shafts together here, and that's all the belts in. And I think we're going to go down below to get the power for this. So if we were to go here, are they going the right way? They are. Wonderful. And then we can just do that to get all these ones going the right way as well. Shafts in the middle to get the gearboxes spinning. Should probably connect all this up as well. All right, looking good. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to quickly unpower this for now, just while we do the rest of the setup. So we need funnels on all of these that are grabbing cobble. Then a funnel going in there that's just doing its thing. Then we need more funnels here grabbing cobble and a few more collection ones there. Then we just need to add the crushing wheels and we should be good to start making gravel. And I think we get flint from this as well. And we'll keep some of the flint, but then we'll probably put a void upgrade on the box that it's going into because we don't need loads of flint. I'd say that's quite compact. It's looking good. Although, let's just move these over to the inside here. Just a bit tidier. Right, let's get that connected. Then all we need to do is connect this up to the system. Right, there we go. Now we've got gravel trying to get in everywhere. Perfect. So if we stick another drawer down here, and do we need another one for flint? Nope, I guess we don't get flint until we actually grind up the gravel. That actually makes sense. So chuck a couple of upgrades on that as well. Look at that, we've got 53k cobble. Excellent. Question is, are we crushing it quicker than we generate it? And it looks like we are. Not massively though, so we're not completely off with our numbers. We could probably have gotten away with maybe 1 or 2 less of these. In fact, let's do a test. If we turn off these 2, do we generate more cobble than we destroy? I mean, it's looking a lot more stable, isn't it? In fact, we're actually still crushing more than we produce, but at a much slower rate. But that tells me we can get away with having 2 less crushing wheels, so let's do that. At least 2 less crushing wheels over here for gravel. We are, however, going to need more crushing wheels for sand. I think I'm just going to do the same thing again, but put it over here. In fact, what I can actually do is just attach them directly to the back of these ones and make use of these drawer controllers we've already got. But I do need to go get some more drawer controllers. I think we've got a bunch in storage. I'm pretty sure I accidentally made a stack when I first made them. Yep, we've got 30 in there. Perfect. So let's quickly get this extended out, and then we should have sand and, I think, flint coming in. Feels good to be building a big factory. So it's all built up. I just need to put the filters on for gravel. Then we just need a bit of power. Now, if we add more drawers, we should start getting sand and flint. There we go. So put a couple of upgrades on there. I'm only going to put 1 upgrade on the flint, and then I'm going to add a void upgrade. So that means it will store a certain amount, and then any extra will just get binned off, which is exactly what we want. We don't want to keep loads of flint. At least not for now, but that might come in handy in future, so we'll see. But let's go check our chart and see where we're at. Wait a sec. Do we get clay coming out of this as well? We do. And that's why we do a chart. So next up, there's 2 things we want to do. This is where the farm splits. What we want to do mostly is actually wash the sand so we get clay. But in addition to that, we do want to take some sand, we want to haunt it, and we want to then turn that into quartz and a little bit of gold. But let's do this top one here first. I need to eat. I can't move very fast. There we go. So we're basically producing a stack of sand at a time here. So if we set up a little system that has, say, 3 washers and then 1 haunter, and to power those, we're going to want to do that. And we'll send a bit down into the floor. Then we can just still power from down below. Now, there's 2 ways you can do washing. You can let the wind blow the items across as they get washed, and that means there's not really a limit to how much you can have going into the machine at once. Or, of course, we can drop items onto belts and then have them do a belt load of stuff at a time. And because those fans are going to be going at full speed, we could probably have some quite long belts if we wanted to, so we can fit loads on. But at least this way, as the machine gets backed up, it won't keep dropping entities onto a block here, and we're kind of controlling a little bit more how much entities are in the world, or how many entities are in the world, I should say, if I'm going to use English. So let's go with the belt method. And then what we're going to do is use smart chutes, with which we will filter for sand. And then we're going to need to put some of those things on top, the drawer controllers. Put those on top there. Bit of trim in the middle. And we'll send that through the floor to connect. Then at this side, more spruce trim, more drawer controllers, and some funnels that are going to need a filter. So if we grab these, 3 of those should do. We'll put sand in it and tell it to deny sand. That should do the trick. Now, I need to get power to these belts, so let's use the gap in the middle here. If I wrench that one, should do it. And then we just got to get this connected to the rest of the system. See what direction everything's spinning. entirely the wrong direction. So let's just put a gearbox in there. That should send all that cobble back in. There we go. Perfect. But now these fans are going the wrong way. So I guess we're going to do things a little bit differently. Let's put one of those in there. Get some casings in to block that bit off. And instead of powering the belts underneath, if we do it on top here instead, then that means I can remove that. Get the fans blowing in the right direction. Although they're not blowing through the chutes. Probably should have thought of that. Okay, we're going to need to redo this section at the top here because the fans do need to be able to blow through. So what we're going to do is shorten those belts there slightly. We're going to move all of this. And if we have belts that go down to the ground here, then we can take out the floor down there, put the spruce trim in, draw controllers on top, funnels here that we filter the sand through, and then we just need a soul campfire to put in front of there and a couple of leaf blocks with some water for there, and then we're going to be able to wash all of this row and haunt all of that row. Right, that should do it. Now I just need to get the belts going in the right direction, so let's take out that bit there, put in a chain drive, stick another chain drive on top. So then if we put a shaft and then a gearbox, everything's now going in the right direction. I just need to do that. Perfect. Right, let's go get a soul campfire and some leaves, and then we should be good to finish this section off. So a soul campfire on that one. That's going to haunt things. Then we'll put leaves and water. That's going to wash things. And I'll tell you what, to tidy this up a little bit, what I could actually do is just link the power directly underneath there, which of course means it's now going in the wrong direction. So let's stick another gearbox in. Beautiful. So I just need to connect up the trim now, and that is going to be very straightforward. So here comes the sand. There we go. That's now getting converted. So it's taking about 15 seconds roughly to convert, but it is converting quite a lot at once when it does. So I need more storage drawers. Need to chuck some upgrades on that as well, actually. In fact, I only need one extra drawer. The only additional thing we're making here is soul sand. Other than that, we're pretty much just making lots and lots of clay. So yeah, the belts are being cleared. Perfect. Let's just add a few andesite casings and tidy this up a little bit. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to actually wash the soul sand so that we can then get quartz, and we need to compact the clay. So let's just quickly finish this one off first. I think an easy solution to that would actually be just to extend this one here by another row. So if we just filter for soul sand there, get some belts in, just do this whole thing again. Oh, and I'm going to need a filter as well to add soul sand to a deny list. Put that on there, connect those up. There goes the soul sand. Perfect. Then I just need a fan there, and I need more leaves. I only brought 2 with me. I probably should have just picked up a stack. I mean, there is more washing to be done after all. So leaves and water. Let's just make sure we are getting quartz and gold here, but that should be correct. And of course, make you look nice. There we go, quartz and gold nuggets, but mostly quartz. So we need some new boxes. One for quartz and one for gold nuggets. Get those locked. Alrighty, so now we need compactors. And we don't need loads of space for compactors. It's basically just going to be 2 belts that are going to need to be 4 bits long. In fact, we don't need compactors at all. Got a much better idea. We can just use compacting drawers. So let's grab these upgrades, put them on here instead. Put gold nuggets in there. In fact, I've got a better idea. Maybe we should put clay in this one. So let's just quickly disconnect this drawer here. We'll empty that into here in just a moment. But if we put a 3-tier compacting drawer here, then we can put the gold in that one. Right, let's quickly empty this. Chuck all that in there. Okay, perfect. So that's this one completely done now, and this one we're all the way up to here. So next up we need to cook the clay into terracotta, and the clay's not coming in massively fast, so I reckon we can probably get away with just the 1 cooker for this. I think we're once again just going to extend this. So let's get our belts in, put a funnel at this end with a deny filter for clay. I have a filter here to take out the clay, and we need a fan. We need another one of those. Let's block that in and make it look nice. Then we just need to get some lava in here, but lava being lava, we're going to need to do something like that just to contain it. So let's remove that, put a bucket of lava in there, and I guess I can't have glass there. That needs to be open. Okay, yep, that's fine. There we go. That is now cooking everything, and that's going to make our terracotta. I'd say we're making some pretty good progress. We haven't actually taken up that much space, but a lot of that is thanks to the storage drawers, I guess. It allows us to make things look much tidier, I think. And there we go. That's turned into terracotta. So let's go stick down another storage drawer. And now it's back to crushing wheels again, I think. I think crushing is next, isn't it? Yes, we need to crush the terracotta into red sand. And to be honest, we're probably only going to need one crushing wheel for this at the rate that we're making it. So let's maybe stick that in here. So we're just going to do the same crushing wheel setup we've done over there. We'll filter for terracotta. And we just need to connect more storage drawers. Right, we can see the terracotta getting crushed. And there we go, red sand being collected. We're almost there. We just need to wash it now. And we all know what that means. We're going to stick another one on the end here. So we're almost there. We just need to remove that, get some leaves in, bucket of water. That's going to wash our sand, and that should give us gold and dead bushes, I think. Yep, exactly that. Perfect. So that means we just need one more box down here. That is to hold dead bushes. And this one, I'm going to stick a void upgrade on. One storage upgrade, one void upgrade. Okay. Nice. And that has already made us 74 gold ingots, but it should just keep churning them out now as long as I've got this area loaded. And I'll be honest, that's looking pretty neat and tidy. I like that a lot. And we've actually still got a bunch of space over here if we need to do any other temporary farms while we're still building here, but don't want to add these farms here permanently. But the best news is, with that done, we can actually now automate harvesting our crops, which is what we need the gold for. But in order to do that, I'm going to need to do some digging. Basically, what I need to do is I need to lay a track 3 blocks down underneath all of these paths. So that means I need to dig this up. I'm probably going to need to drain out some of this as well because the water is really not going to be helpful. And basically prep it all for laying lots and lots of tracks. And in the meantime, I'm hoping we're close enough to the gold farm that that's going to keep producing as well. Let's get to work. So I'm about halfway through digging the tunnels over there, and I thought I'd come over here and see how everything's going, and I realised I made a bit of a mistake before I even left, and that is that I put water right next to the lava, which of course has turned it into obsidian. So I need to make a couple of adjustments. So let's get rid of this, get the lava replaced in there, and then I guess we'll just add another washer on this side instead. Right, there we go. I've set that up on this side now, so that should work again, and that means we should start getting gold again, which would be nice. Right, back to digging. Finally done. We've dug out all the trenches. I just need to go check on my gold supplies now. Well, we have probably about a quarter of what I reckon we're going to need. So I guess I'm going AFK while I go make some dinner. See you in a bit. An hour or so later, and we've got 1,300 ingots. That should be enough to make a good start. And up the top here, I did add another couple of washers for the sand, just so the system could actually keep up a bit better. But it's exactly the same as the rest that we already had, just more. So I do want to get myself a bunch of controller rails, which means we're going to need electron tubes. So I'd best go grab a bunch of that quartz. A stack and a half of electron tubes. That should help us make some. I mean, on looking at it, we really didn't need that many electron tubes at all. So let's craft all this up first. That should give us just over a couple of stacks. Then we're going to turn the rest of the gold we've got into rail. There we go. Loads of rail. We're going to grab lots of redstone blocks. They'll come in handy. And we're going to need a bunch of normal rail as well, just for the corners. And in fact, one more thing we're going to do is take a couple of stacks of levers, just so we're not using redstone blocks everywhere. We'll only use them when we have to. Right, I think we're good to go start laying some rail. So what I'm going to do is press F3 and G so we get the chunk borders turned on. We're going to get this first rail in here. And what I want to do is whenever we get to spots like this, instead of putting a powered rail there, I want to put a controller rail on either side. Make sure that everything is powered. And then if this chunk is loaded, but this one isn't, the minecart is going to stop right here on this block. But because it's a controller rail, it's going to be trying to push it forward. So what should happen is then when this chunk does get loaded, the minecart will carry on. That's the theory. And a couple of hours later, although it looks like I've done absolutely nothing, I assure you I have. There's lots and lots of rail that goes under here now. So if I jump into FreeCam, for example, you can see where the rail goes off and connects up to the warehouse over in that direction. But basically, we've just got a slalom that goes backwards and forwards through these fields. But I did decide against the controller rails on the chunk borders in the end, so we've just got powered rails everywhere. Although when I took the controller rails out, it looks looks like I forgot to take out the redstone, so there's a massive waste of redstone down here now. Well, I'm not digging it all up again. But because this is such a big field, what I've actually done is split it in two. So there's actually going to be a bot that comes out and goes in this entrance here, and it's going to go around, do its thing, get to the end of its route, and then it's going to go back again. And then we've got a second one that's going to come this way. It's going to go down this path, join the field here, and it's going to do the second half of the field. That way we get to see a couple of bots going around, and we don't need to have quite such big storage areas on each one. So now if we come in here, we can see where the two different tracks come in. This is where we're going to connect them up to storage. So the next step is to actually build the bots and work out how we're going to store stuff on these contraptions. In this mod pack, however, when it comes to storage and contraptions, we do actually have a solution that I had completely forgotten about until now. And all I'm going to need is a backpack, because we actually have sophisticated backpacks create integration mod on here. So as long as I get some stack upgrades for this thing, we should be okay. And this has 3 slots in it. Perfect. So let's just make some blocks of iron, get 3 of those. And we've actually got gold now, where you can make blocks of gold from our gold farm. We don't have enough to do diamond ones, however. I used all my diamonds on storage drawer upgrades instead. So 3 tier 1 stack upgrades, and now let's go grab some gold. And we've got enough in here. Excellent. We just need 24 blocks. So 3 gold tier upgrades. In fact, we should probably upgrade our own ones as well. Although I can't remove the iron ones at the moment to do that, so we'll come back to that later. For now, let's get those in there. And that is going to be our contraption storage. Now we just need to grab all the little bits we need to make the actual robots. And of course, a way to offload the system. But first, I really should empty my backpack. So we're going to need super glue. We're going to need industrial iron. We're going to need some smart chutes for offloading. We're going to need smart observers for faces. And it does actually occur to me, we're going to need 2 backpacks. So we've got an iron one there. We'll have to upgrade that. So let's just sort this out for another backpack. We'll get 3 more upgrades. We'll get that into a gold backpack, so we've got enough slots. Wonderful. So that's both our backpacks. That's both of our faces. We've got some chutes for offloading. We've got those for arms. We still need to grab a bunch more stuff though. So we need a couple of these hypertube entrances. We're going to need some harvesters, some glass for connecting things, redstone links for aerials, and we need bite blocks. And I think that was everything we needed to make our little robots. Oh, apart from a couple of minecarts, we're going to need those and some timers, because we don't want the guys constantly harvesting. I just want to send them off once every sort of 20 minutes or so. Right, I've probably forgotten something, but let's go build these bots. Thinking about it, to save our chunk loading problem, what we could actually do is just put a chunk loader on our contraption directly. Interesting. I'm thinking maybe we should do that, because then it means they're never going to get stuck on the borders. I'm never going to have to reset them. They should just do their thing whenever they're actually activated. I like this. But I think that means I'm going to need to go capture a couple of ghasts. I don't believe I have any chunk loaders ready. I do not. And I don't have the crying obsidian that I need to actually make the respawn anchors to then do the... Okay, right. That's a future project. For now, let's just get these bots up and running. And we're going to start with some glass panes. And I think these stick out more... Yes, they stick out on the back here, and I'm hoping that means... Yeah, look at that. We can just stick a backpack straight on the back there, and then that means when it comes to offloading, I can just have a smart chute there that goes directly into the draw system. Because whenever it's back here, it will turn back into a regular contraption. So I forgot to make the harvesters, but I did grab the resources for them, so let's quickly do that. Put down some temporary blocks, put our harvesters on. And I've just remembered I have actually forgotten some of the copycat panels that I need to do the arms. So I actually need some bite panels. So let's just get the head on. Redstone link, we'll set that with the little dish thing. Now to do the arms, and I think I want to do that, and that. In fact, let's do that. Alrighty, so let's glue this guy together. Put a minecart in there. Block behind. In fact, let's set up the pulse timer first. So let's maybe set this guy off once every 30 minutes. I think that should be plenty, but let's just quickly do a test and make sure he actually does what we want. Well, he's off. Excellent. The whole thing worked a treat, apart from the fact he was missing his shoulder blades the entire time. And for now, we're just going to pick up everything that's getting dropped out of here. I want to see what it collected. And from one quick little harvest, I'd say that's not too bad. Oh, he's off again. I think I landed on the platform. Let's get rid of that. So while he's gone, let's set up the storage system. So if we put a drawer controller in there with trims linking up to that storage, that should link to in here. And what we need to do in here is just add a bunch more drawers. And we just need to give homes to all of our crops. There we go. We can now store our crops. We just need to build a second one of these lovely robots. Right, that's the second robot in. So if I just do that, that should send him off. And he should go and harvest the second field, hopefully. Yep, look at him go. He's doing his thing. Excellent. So if I now put smart chutes there and there, and we'll get the floor blocked back in as well. We'll just wait for this guy to come back because he's probably going to harvest up some leaves on his first run. And we don't want those clogging up the system. So I'm going to wait for him to come back. We'll check his backpack, take out anything that shouldn't be there. Then when we put the chute in, we should be good to go. How's he getting on? Oh, he's got stuck. What have I done here? There we go. I put a redstone block at the end of the path. That was the problem. And I know I could use a lever there, but I don't have any on me right now. And you may notice we haven't done the whole field. I've not done all the bit over there, and that's because I didn't really know how long this guy would be able to go on for before he got full, but that was before I remembered about the backpacks. So I guess I could extend the track and get the rest of that bit done there as well. But for now, the good news is we're harvesting crops, we're storing crops, and we can finally move on with our lives. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.